there, Capricorn. As you noted in my planetary activity in my introduction, 5 planets at some point in April are retrograde, and this energy is causing discord, disagreements, arguments. And with Mercury going retrograde April 9th, it will be causing misunderstandings. And Venus has been retrograde and will be until mid-April, which is wreaking havoc with relationships. And all of the signs are finding different ways to deal with this, and 1 or 2 of them are under the radar and aren't being impacted. But what I think is impacting your spread is the retrograde of Pluto around the 19th or 20th of April. This causes an intensity. Pluto has an orbit of, 248 years or something like that. It's not on a snail scale or anything, but it happens every 5 to 6 months out of the year, which is rather interesting. So I think there's something going on in the backdrop with this intensity, with Pluto going retrograde in your sign. So let's see what's going on with your spread. The card on the bottom left for the base of your spine for sourcing and urgings, you receive justice. I have this feeling that you got this burning desire to equal things out. It has something to do about imposing the laws of the universe. The sword of truth is double-edged, and it can bring punishment and rewards. And it usually is inexorably connected to the present state of affairs and the current circumstances. However, in this case, I'm kind of feeling like it more has to do with judgments and decisions. This can be about courts and court systems and contracts and agreements and negotiations. But the courts are where judgments are made and decisions are rendered. And if you notice on the left, the past card is the judgment card, and judgment is the ability to make decisions. And it kind of appears like the whole spread is about making decisions. But here for you, it seems like the equilibrium of the scales is rather tenuous and really fragile. And that just a mere wisp of a breath can offset these scales. Kind of feels like you just launched into this justice and equilibrium idea. Something come speeding in last minute, and you're finding now that with things changing and the intensity of this retrograde, that you want to find some comfortable balance in your life. The clarification card is the star. It's a beacon bringing you into a safe harbor to moor your boat. It's a guide telling you where you are on the earth, your position relative to the stars. Dante used the star to find his way out of the inferno that he considered hell. And for me, I'm kind of feeling like you're using this healing and hope of the star to ground this idea of justice. There is healing going on related to this justice card, and whenever there's healing, there's always hope. Let's just hope that you're not feeling the sort of accountability for some of your behavior or actions. Up above the justice and the star card, for the pelvic and sacrum, for awakening and arousing, receive the high priestess. This is her home. This is where she belongs for spiritual awakening and sexual arousing. This Pluto intensity is heightening your awareness of things and insight, and bringing more clarity. And that's what the High Priestess does too, but she brings cosmic messages down to earth. And you do have to slow down and listen to some of her whispering messages, because her messages are very subtle. It's not always obvious what she's trying to tell you. Sometimes it's by mere coincidences, dreams, visions, intuition. Whatever you'll be receiving, you're tuned in, you got your antenna up and your ears on. You're ready for it. The clarification card is the King of Pentacles. He's about material things and money. He's the apex. He's the king. He's the controller of it. He's good at making money. He's good at managing properties. But what I'm seeing here is the connection between the High Priestess and the King of Pentacles. She's about the cosmos and the universe, and he's about earth and worldly things. And these are married now together. Cosmos and earth. It's bringing you into both realms. And you're seeing a lot of things now with clarity. Up above, for the solar plexus, for sensing and feelings, you have the Strength card. It's a gut feeling that you know you have the endurance to right the wrongs and make the decisions that need to be made. You're looking through people and looking into their soul. You're able to see who they are. You see the beast in them. You see the gentle person inside them too. And the clarification card is the Ace of Pentacles. As with any ace, it offers a new beginning. It extends possible gifts of value and fates of fortune for wealth and even health. This card appears as a talisman of good health and gaining good health after an illness. The word pentacle in French is pentacle, and pen means to hang, to, and call, neck. So it's a talisman with protective powers that you hang around your neck. And this brings healing and brings realistic dreams. If you're willing to put in the hard work to seek the rewards. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and don't expect this to happen overnight. But it is giving you the promise of earthly prosperity. The center card for the truth of the matter, or the situation, is the Queen of Swords. She holds the sword of truth in her hand. For fair decrees, you're back to the Justice card. But it's air. Air can be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, or somebody that personifies these particular traits, male or female. The one thing the Queen can do is perceive lies. And she's like the King of Swords too, because she doesn't use emotions in her decision making. She uses logic and intelligence. The clarification card is the Two of Cups, the mini lovers card. This is about relationships, but it doesn't have to be love. It can be a union of some sort, or a partnership. But really the key to the Lovers card and the Two of Cups is harmonious relationships and making good decisions. It's about temptation and making decisions of vice versus virtue. Now the connection to the Queen of Swords is that she wants you to use your intellect and not let emotions get in the way of the decision making. On the bottom right, for the throat, for communicating and teachings. Receive the Magician. As is above is so below, and he's pointing up to the Two of Pentacles, the Decision card. The Magician is building. He wants to build by just his pure will. He can make something out of nothing. But you're not quite done yet, because the clarification card is the Nine of Wands. This guy's been through a bunch of battles, and he's in a timeout, a respite. He's wrecked, bruised, cut, tired. And he knows he has to go back into battle, but the number 9 is a completion card. He's getting close to the finish line, and he knows now that all he needs is a little bit of a leap of faith, and he is going to jump over the finish line so he can start building and making these decisions that's been building up throughout this whole spread. Now in the third eye, for seeing and envisioning, as I mentioned, you receive the Two of Pentacles. 2 means decision, partnership, balance, juggling and keeping the balls in the air and not dropping them, meaning make good decisions. The clarification card is the Page of Cups, and I certainly wouldn't want him behind me making decisions because he's very immature. He's very emotional too. That he has no time to think about making good decisions. His head's in the clouds and his feet's not on the ground. He's wearing rose-colored glasses most of the time. One thing he can do is bring messages and ideas that can blossom. So you do have to pay attention to the Page of Cups, but remember that he's in fantasy land. Now up in the crown, for knowing and understanding, you see the Four of Wands. It's a card of celebration. There's been some kind of accomplishment, but normally this is like a rites of passage, a marriage, graduation, a commemoration. But I'm kind of feeling like a few of you are involved in the planning of this party and have been for quite a while. You're orchestrating all of the plans, being the manager. I can hear you telling people to put this dish over there, or put that chair over here or something. Something's going on. You're going to be a big part of it. Now the clarification card is the Devil. I can say, oh, you're going to be drinking too much at the party and you're a hedonist or something. But Capricorn rules the Devil. This is saying this is you. You've made some kind of accomplishment because it's accompanying the Four of Wands card. It's pointing out this is all about you. And I think this is maybe the third or fourth reading I've had where at least one of the cards is saying you, if not 2 or 3. The Past card on the left is a Judgment card. There's a lot of ways to think about judgment. It's about forgiving other people and forgiving yourself. It's about accountability for your actions. And it's also about rebirth and being the phoenix, rising from the ashes. But here, as I pointed out, you've got the Justice card and the Star card grounding it for decisions. You've got the Two of Cups, that's a decision card. You've got the Two of Pentacles, that's a decision card. And then you have Judgment, which is the ability to make a decision. Somewhere in the midst of this It wants you to make a decision. Now the future card on the right is the Five of Cups. I know Capricorns can be stubborn and very opinionated, and for some reason you just don't want to make this decision. And you're kind of despondent about it. You're in despair. You're a little depressed. You're not really sure if you want to move on. You want to right the wrongs with the Justice card. You feel grounded with the Star card. And spiritually, you're feeling really good with the High Priestess and the King of Pentacles. You've been given strength and a new beginning with the Ace of Pentacles. And here the King of Swords wants you to think a little more unemotionally, unattached, or more detached to make a good decision. And you're saying, I'm not really sure if I want to. And I pulled a clarification card for the Five of Cups, and you received the Seven of Cups. If you didn't believe that you were supposed to make a decision, well, there's the decision card. And the Seven of Cups is about making a difficult decision. It's about many things. You know, you go to a restaurant and it's got 35 different things on the menu, and they probably don't make any of them well. Instead of walking into a restaurant where they have 4 things on the menu and they make all of them quality. But now you have to decide which cup you want to take, and each cup has a different poison or prize. And you're wondering which cup you should lose and which cup you should choose. There's some intense energy going on here, and I'm not quite sure, since this is a general reading, what type of decision or decisions you're going to make, but you're going to have to make some. Okay, now the Doreen Virtue card, messages from the angels. You received Adriana. I am leading you towards the answer to your prayers. Please listen to and follow the steps. I am communicating through your intuition, thoughts, and dreams. With the presence of the High Priestess, your spiritual awareness is really heightened as Pluto is going retrograde into Capricorn. And still, you're grounded with the King of Pentacles. The Star is grounding justice. The Strength card is grounding the Ace of Pentacles. The Magician is grounding the Nine of Wands. So you have a lot of energy here. And it will give you the answers, because the answer is your decision. And really, not making a decision is a decision. So let's get into the spread. The center cards for the present, we see the Eight of Wands and the Five of Swords. Eight of Wands is sudden change. It's also very positive sometimes. It's about change where things weren't going right, and all of a sudden it's just smooth sailing. You're thinking, why hadn't my phone worked right for the last week? And all of a sudden, all the calls are coming through. This could also be a message, something that dramatically changes your life, or is just a small message that starts getting louder and louder and maybe explodes to something a little bit more. Now the clarification card is the Five of Swords. I always like to call this a skirmish in the conflict of life for you to find the purpose of life. Usually indicates that conflict is hitting you full force. But I kind of feel like there was an inner conflict first, and now it's welling up to the surface, and either you've had a blowout with somebody, some kind of big fight, or it's working up to it, because I have that feeling. Now this is where it really gets interesting in the reading for the cards up above for your prospects. You receive the Sun and the Empress. Now this is where the duality starts coming in. I mean really strong. Now the Sun can be about a new day dawning, finding clarity when Prior to this, it was more, everything was in the shadows. But this can also be about the celestial aspect of it, because the Empress now, she's about material things and earthly things. So here you have celestial versus material. You could think of this as Father, Son, or Cronus, and the Empress, Mother Earth, Alamada. Now there's always a child riding on a horse in many of the cards, and so it's associated with children, so it could be mother and child. There's so many other ways to think of this. Now Venus rules the sign of the Empress, and she is duality. Venus is the star that rises in the east in the morning, or sets in the west in the evening. And the diadems on her crown are 12. It signifies all of the signs of the zodiac. She oversees all of them. And now think about the sun. The sun is the center of our universe and all of the constellations. There's another duality of celestial versus material. I don't think I've ever seen a message like this that strong before. It's so interesting. Now the past cards are the Ace of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands. The Ace of Pentacles is the offer of a new beginning. You know, the fates of fortune are being handed to you. It's the promise of gifts of value. It can be the potential for success in business and money, or even the eclipse of financial struggles. In essence, it's a talisman of earthly prosperity and the comfort of the spiritual that can follow from contentment. Now, the clarification card for the Ace of Pentacles is the Queen of Wands. She's fire energy, but she's reminding you not to move ahead too quickly. She wants you to look back at your past, evaluate where you are at the present, and where you want to go in the future. But she wants you to connect these ideas with potential consequences of your actions and of your decisions. She's also indicating not to rush into things and not let small irritating things make you insanely mad. To stay calm and relaxed. And I'm not sure if you've done that, because down on the bottom for problems, you receive temperance. You have to temper and moderate yourself. And the first clarification card is the Knight of Swords. Here it is. The knight that just gallops along so fast that he doesn't even know where he's going. Sometimes only his horse knows the destination. And this can be somebody galloping into your life and galloping out of it just as fast. Or it can be you making some really rash decisions and not thinking through. And the clarification card next to it is the Ten of Wands. You've taken on a lot of responsibilities. It's been a heavy load. And then the next clarification card to that is the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords is about making a decision of opposing forces. She's got her arms over her chakra, her heart chakra. So this isn't an easy decision, but a decision has to be made. And it's saying that you're supposed to slow down with the Knight of Swords there and utilize temperance. Now up in your possibilities are possibilities for prosperity. As I noted, you received the Devil card. That's personifying you. And Capricorn is very ambitious and power-driven. Saturn rules the Devil card in Capricorn, the taskmaster. And Saturn can project ruthless behavior that needs to be governed. And this is where temperance comes in. You have to temper your behavior. I know Capricorn, because of the power that they strive for, sometimes become controllers. But I've seen a lot of controlling people think it's a lot of work to control other people, and that's where the Ten of Wands comes in. And they tire of controlling other people. And now here the clarification card for the devil is the Chariot. He's about duality too. These Hanson Roberts cards finally got it right. On the front of his chariot is a yin and yang. And the two beasts of burden are black and white. This has to do with discipline. This has to do with duality. Self-control over lack of control. This also has to do with like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde syndrome. I mean, we can bring out our shadow self, or we can be the really nice person that's moving forward. Because that's what the Chariot's about, is motion and moving forward with discipline and control. And if you can balance that out, because this whole reading is about polarity and duality, and if you could find balance with your ambition and control, you'll be very successful.